Hello, my name is Morgan Holloman, and I'll be informing you this evening about the Italian Renaissance, which occurred in the 14th century. It was a time of rebirth or new thinking in the way that the world was thought. And yeah, the Middle Ages happened before the Italian Renaissance, and it was called also the Dark Ages because there are no scientific accomplishments, there are no art produced, and there are no great leaders born out of this age. There was also the bubonic plague, and that killed off about 20% of the population in Europe, which also affected the world by killing off 70 million people. And yeah, many of the achievements of the Renaissance were formed about a common theme, and that was the humanistic belief that man was the center of his own universe. The Renaissance started in Florence, Italy, which was divided into 12 city-states. Florence was an independent republic, and it was the banking and commercial capital of Italy, as well as the third largest city in Europe. The citizens of Florence all patroned the arts, as well as science and math and different architecture to help the city grow, and that spread into different parts of Europe eventually as well. Writers and thinkers were the recipients of the patronage from this era, and they spent the time enjoying worldly pleasures, and instead of devoting themselves to ordinary jobs, they were paid to do just that, which was writing and thinking. Leonardo da Vinci was the Renaissance man, as people called him. His most famous painting was the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper. The Mona Lisa was painted between 1503 and 1506, and there is a large speculation on who the woman actually is. No one really knows, and the painting is housed in the Louvre in Paris, France. The Last Supper was painted in Milan between 1495 and 1498, and it depicts the Passover dinner that Jesus had with his apostles. Michelangelo painted the Sistine Chapel. He was commissioned by Pope Julius II to work on the ceiling, and it took 4 years to complete the project. The most famous painting in the ceiling is depicted in God and Adam reaching their hands for one another. He was also commissioned by the Medici family to complete their family tombs in Florence. David was his most famous sculpture, and that is housed as well in the Louvre. He also wrote many poems surrounding the philosophy of Neoplatonism, which is the idea that the human soul, powered by love and ecstasy, can reunite with an almighty God. He also was a poet and wrote many letters to his family. In Italian architecture, there's Filippo Brunelleschi. He applied the elements of classic Roman architecture, columns, and proportion to his own buildings. He built an 8-sided dome, which is placed in the Vatican. It's called the Santa Maria del Fiore, and it was an engineering triumph. It was 144 feet across, weighed 3,700 tons, and had no pillars to hold it up, so it was just one big building. He also figured out a way to draw and paint using a linear perspective so that the space would look as if it was receding into a frame. Andrea Palladio built the Villa. Bramante was the chief architect in the St. Peter's Basilica. He was commissioned by Pope Julius II to build a new basilica. His enormous central church in the shape of a great cross with smaller domes extending out of the edge. When Bramante died, Raphael took over as chief architect, and when Raphael died, Michelangelo took over. Galileo Galilei was a scientist and mathematician. He proved that all objects fall at the same rate of acceleration by dropping different sized cannonballs from the same points on top of the building. He built a telescope, and he proved that the Earth and all of the other planets in the solar system revolves around the sun, and not that other planets revolves around the Earth. That enraged religious officials. Therefore, he was arrested for committing heresy and threatened with torture and death. He stated that I do not believe that the same God who has endowed us with senses, reason, and intellect has intended us to forego their use. He was placed under house arrest after his trial in 1633, where he died in 1642 in Florence. The Catholic Church did not pardon him from his crimes until 1992. Leonardo da Vinci was also a scientist. He created many different contraptions, such as a bicycle or the flying machine and submarines. He created designs for them, and he also created pioneering studies of human anatomy. The Italian Renaissance was brought on because England, France, and Spain, as well as the Pope and the Catholic Church and the Holy Roman Empire, all battled for control of this city. The Catholic Church was also plagued with scandal and corruption and cracked down on people who opposed it. In 1545, the Council of Trent also established the Roman Inquisition, which was the Roman Catholic Church prosecuting those who they believed were not abiding by their rules as religious officials. The Roman Catholic Church prosecuted individuals accused of their crimes such as sorcery, immortality, blasphemy, and witchcraft, which brought on the end of the Italian Renaissance.
A lot of lights and stuff like that. So.